Hi, this video is a very brief introduction to creating your own Desmos Classroom activities. So to get started, go to teacher.desmos.com and sign in the top right hand corner. Once you've signed in, go to your name in the top right hand corner, Desmos Labs, and make sure that all 4 of these features have been ticked and enabled, and click Save at the bottom to save your settings. This only has to be done once, but it's important to make sure that they're enabled before you start creating your first activity. Once that's done, in the left-hand pane under Your Activities, go to Custom, New Activity, and give your activity a title. It doesn't matter what you call it here. If you change your mind, it's very easy to alter it as you're designing your activity. Click Start Building, and you get immediately to a blank screen. So this is basically the design view for your questions. And what you've got across the top here are 7 common components that you might want to add to a question page. And under the last button, there are 5 more. So just above these components, there's a space for you to add a title or an instruction for this particular question. So if I change that to say, what do you notice? And just show you how easy it is to create a question of your own. So I'm going to start my question with a graph component. So if I click Graph, immediately opens up a window that has the full functionality of the Desmos graphing calculator. I'm simply going to enter the equations of 2 straight lines and click and drag this screen to center those graphs. I'm now also going to add a note component to this question. If I click that, that's basically a text box. You can enter anything you like into that text box, and if you need to enter mathematical notation, expressions, equations, you can use the F of X button in the bottom right hand corner. So I've got 2 graphs and a question for the students to answer. Now I just need an input component on my page. I'm going to choose this first input component, click that, and I can choose between a text answer box or a maths answer box. In this case, I want a text one, and the only other decision to make really is whether or not to leave this box ticked. If it is ticked, when your student answers the question, Desmos will show them 3 other answers from their class. They're randomly shown, but it does mean that your student can read those answers and then possibly change the answer they've given and resubmit it. So it's really helpful for sparking discussion, but you may not want it on every single one of your questions. I'm going to hit Preview up here in this top right hand corner so that I can have a look at this question, make sure that it looks okay from a student point of view. I'm really happy with how that looks, so I'm going to click the little cross here. And because I like that structure, I'm just going to copy it. So in this left hand pane, click those 3 little dots and duplicate my screen. So I've still got the same 2 graphs, but I'd like to focus my question on a slightly different aspect. So this time, I'm going to ask, what's the gradient of the blue line? Now, you could leave this with the same input box that I had before, but I just wanted to show you another really useful input option, which is multiple choice. So if I click that, I can very quickly create a multiple choice list. I can decide whether or not they're allowed to select 1 option or 2. 1 is obviously suitable in this case. And what I really like about this is I can tick a box to ensure that after they've given me their answer, they have to explain why they chose that particular answer out of the list. I'm actually going to untick showing students' responses in this case because I don't want them to see everybody else's answers. If I like that, I just have a quick check of how it looks from a student point of view. If I click Answer, my Explain Your Thinking box pops up. It's perfect. You can keep creating slides like this until you've got a full activity, and once you're happy with it, all you need to do is click Next here and have a quick look at this screen, which is the details of your activity. So you may want to add an activity description. You may also want to click this box here to enable a scientific calculator to appear on every single one of your pages in your activity. It's really useful, and it makes sure that your students can't say they hadn't got one at the time. If everything there is to your liking, just hit Publish, and the minute that that's worked, you're going to have an activity that you can create a class code for in the way you would do normally, and share the activity with other members of staff as well. So these three little dots here, click those to share your activity or create a class code underneath. If at any point you want to make any additional changes to your activity, you are able to edit it from here. I really hope that's inspired you to start creating your first activity and to learn more about all the possible components that you can add to a question page. If you want to learn more about that, please go to learn.desmos.com. Many thanks and good luck with everything.